Hello, thank you for joining me, and I'm grateful for taking your time. My apologies because the sun seems to affect my eyes. My eyes don't do well in the sun, and I want to talk about dreams and the spirit world. All right, so when we sleep, sometimes we sleep in our head, or sometimes we travel into different dimensions, and that is why sometimes you have some dreams that are not easy to explain, or sometimes you wake up feeling tired, or sometimes you encounter things like sleep paralysis. These are things that happen during interdimensional travel. Your etheric body gets stuck in different dimensions, and then you experience sleep paralysis. So I'm going to explain lots of these things. I'm going to start by explaining 3 concepts. These are very important in understanding dreams, and the first one, I'm going to explain different levels of consciousness of the mind, and I'm going to do this very fast. So we have the conscious mind. The conscious mind enables us to experience the physical world, all right? So the material world, we perceive it through the conscious mind, and then we have the subconscious mind, which is a lower level of the conscious mind, all right? It's a lower mind consciousness where things like memories and programming and just all the baggage that we get through life, they get stored in the subconscious mind as information. And beneath the subconscious layer is the superconscious or metaconscious layer. Unlike in the physical world where we have limitations of time and space, in the metaconscious or superconscious level, it's just like eternity in that it's very vast. And these 3 layers of the conscious mind, they explain different dimensions, all right? And just like in the physical conscious world, we are living in this world. In these different dimensions, there are also beings living in this world. If I were to explain the concept now in layman's term, imagine an iceberg, all right? An iceberg in an ocean, and it's floating, right? You can see the tip of the iceberg on the surface level, right? If you are above water, right? And when you go down into the next level beneath the water, now we have a vast portion of the ice, which is now the subconscious mind. And now the ocean, the vast ocean where the iceberg is floating, that is the superconscious. It's so limitless. So typically when you quieten the senses, for example during meditations or during sleep, you are detaching from the conscious world, all right? And now the more you are detaching from the conscious world, the more now you're starting to experience what is in the subconscious level. And when you start seeing what's in your subconscious more clearly, you will find it that it helps to improve yourself, your physical self. And as you keep ascending in these levels of consciousness, then now you start experiencing the metaphysical. This is why people who meditate, they start seeing strange things. Some people say, hey, I started seeing demons and I don't like it. That stuff is so demonic, and then they give up. And for some reasons, they're justified because they're opening their consciousness to other worlds that they don't understand. But the seeker who knows that there's something bigger than the physical, they will understand that these are just part of the journey, and they just have to overcome these obstacles. Now, very quickly, let me explain the second concept, which is bodies, all right? We have the physical body, and then we have the etheric body. Surrounding nature or around us is a subtle force. It's called ether. And also as human beings, we have an etheric copy that is a reflection of the physical self. So the etheric body, it is limitless, while the physical body is limited by time and space and distance. The etheric body can travel anywhere. And during sleep, when our senses are not excited and everything is quietened down, then the etheric body can detach and travel dimensionally. But this does not happen to everyone. Some people, simply because they are so stuck in this world, all right, they really believe in the senses, in what they can see. That is all they believe in. Their dreams are often limited to memories that are stored in the conscious and the subconscious mind. And so their dreams are so much easy to understand because it's so relatable to the events that they encounter during the day. But for someone whose senses are quietened down, then you find that when they sleep, it's very easy for the etheric body to detach from the body and travel into the astral dimensions. And the third thing that I'm going to explain is the pineal gland. This is a gateway for interdimensional travel. Each one of us has a pineal gland, and when you meditate, then you start activating the pineal gland, and then as a result you start experiencing interdimensional worlds. And so these three concepts are very going to be important in explaining how dreams and the spirit world are connected. Let me start with the process of dreaming. When you fall asleep, the level of activity reduces, and then you fall into a dream. And at that point, a normal person will just experience relatable dreams, for example, based on the memories and activities that you carry during the day. Or sometimes the subconscious might take different memories from the past and just juggle things up and create a normal, funny, unexplainable dream. A dream that is just normal but, a bit complicated, right? But on different occasions, for example, if you're someone who is highly sensitive, then your etheric body, sometimes when everything is quietened down, it might dissociate from the physical body and then start interdimensional travel. So things like, for example, sleeping while facing up, it's often a trigger for weird dreams because your focus now goes into the pineal gland. Remember, it's just somewhere between your eyes, but somewhere deep here. And so when you sleep facing up, your focus and attention is on the pineal gland, which causes excitement. Similar to very rapid meditation, it releases melatonin, and then now it becomes a gateway for your etheric body to cross from the subconscious now into the superconscious or the metaconscious. And this now becomes an interdimensional travel. And remember, like I said, at different levels of consciousness, we have beings, spirits and entities and whatever we call demons, and sometimes even with the dreams that happen at the conscious and the superconscious level. Entities of higher dimensions, like I've said before, they can see our thoughts. Our thoughts are as physical to spirits as we are able to perceive the physical world. And so sometimes spirits or entities, when they come to manipulate our dreams, they can use memories that are stored in our subconscious and then create a dreams that seems to be familiar, but it's not your dream. What they like to do is that they like to take spaces that are familiar to us and then take that form inside a dream and then appear to us. That is why in your dream sometimes you might encounter someone who is familiar coming into your dream, for example, to attack you, or sometimes someone that you've never even talked to, all right? You encounter them in your dream. Anyway, continuing with the etheric body, when you cross into other dimensions through the pineal gland, now you start experiencing the world of the superconscious. This is where entities and spirits, they are at really high advantage. And if you have accidentally crossed into this world, then you will encounter low vibrational spirits. These are, again, gatekeepers. I've talked about them in my previous video, right? So gatekeepers are simply low vibrational spirits. They could be lost souls. They could be just evil spirits. So if you accidentally cross into this dimension when you are not prepared, then you're going to encounter these entities that are horror, and sometimes they just trap your etheric body. And so that is why you find yourself struggling, all right? You are aware that you are dreaming, something has scared you, you want to return back to your body, you want to move your physical body, but you cannot. It's simply because your etheric body has been trapped into this dimension. For people who are advanced in techniques like meditation, or they have mastered different levels of consciousness, then they become familiar with these encounters, and so they can easily cross these dimensional gates. But for someone who has crossed accidentally, in this case, for example, while sleeping up, or sometimes it's different phases of the moon, okay? At different phases of the moon, the energy can be strong, and that way it makes it easier for our conscious to dissociate and travel into the astral world. And that is why during these phases, for example, of the lunar eclipse and the full moon, all right, or the new moon, you are likely to have these horror dreams because it's very easy for the etheric body to cross over and travel into the astral world. And this is why you see pictures of witches riding on brooms during full moon. It's because during these phases, astral travels are very common. And even for witches, it is the best time for their activities. From even the legends that I've read, witches worldwide can hold their meetings in the astral realm. They don't need to physically travel. If you have heard about people traveling in their sleep, it's just a form of astral travel. They can sleep, travel to these worlds, talk to each other, and then return to their bodies. And even things like witchcraft activities, they're most potent during these times. For example, the full moon. If someone harms your etheric body, then they're able to harm you physically, okay? That is the concept that is often used in things like sorcery and witchcraft. They harm your etheric body, and then it hurts your physical body. And interdimensional travel is even applied in military. You have heard about remote sensing, where some special people who have been trained on this technique, they can simply be kept in a room, and then they can alter their consciousness and be able to perceive what is even 1,000 miles away, exactly where the enemy camp is, what is around there. And now shifting back to my topic, in this sort of travels, it takes energy, physical energy. That is why sometimes you might wake up in the morning after a weird dream and you're feeling tired. It's because your etheric body traveled. And even with people who do channeling, all right, mediumship and channeling, after the activity, they often complain of how drained they are and weak, simply because interdimensional travel takes a lot of energy. So very fast, let me get into some of the things that you should not do while inside a dream. It's recommended that you should not do when you travel interdimensionally, that is through a dream. One is that you should not eat food while in the dream. And this is why, because when you encounter these interdimensional beings, they don't have good intentions for you, and they want to introduce energies into you. And so by offering you food, when you eat food and you ingest it through your etheric body, then it's as good as eating it in the physical. And so that energy will be inside you. It might create a bit of confusion inside your life, but I understand that it's hard to tell when you're in a dream and stop yourself from eating, right? But if you can avoid it, then avoid it, because it's an energy that you're putting inside you. And even witches, like I said, witches also travel in the astral world where we dream. They can give you food simply to harness your energy. And so that is why it is advisable not to eat food in the dreams. And the next thing you shouldn't do, which I've very frequently talked about, that don't have sexual intercourse in dreams, because sexual intercourse in dreams is as good as sexual intercourse in the physical. It will introduce energies into you. And sometimes when you sleep with spirits, all right, because they trick you into sleeping with them, then spirits might feel like they own you and even get jealous, just spoiling relationships for you in the physical world. And the third thing that you shouldn't do is to enter into agreements, right? These low vibrational spirits are likely to put you into a state where they are making you agree to something that in the physical world you don't agree to. And so when you make that sort of agreement, it sort of becomes binding. And so if you can avoid, don't make any agreements. And another thing that I said even in my previous video is that don't fear, because nothing can ever happen without your consent. It's your free will that you're practicing. And these spirits, they don't have any authority to interfere in your life without your consent. And so fear is just their tool of manipulation. That is it for now. I will do another video about interpreting dreams and gatekeepers and different levels of consciousness as well. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to like. I would love to hear what your experiences are. So just drop a comment below. Cheers and have a great time.